Welcome back, petrol and diesel heads, to Zig Wheels. Thank you for joining us here today, and today's excitement is all about, well, that brand that wears the 7-slot grille. Of course, Jeep. And the model we're talking about today is the Compass. It is going to be the most affordable Jeep here in India, and it's made in India and exported to several markets, all the right-hand drive markets, and that would include UK, Japan, and Australia. Interesting, huh? But we're going to get to the really interesting part, and that is the Compass, and it does look quite sweet, doesn't it? It's actually looking a lot like the Grand Cherokee, and that is something that Jeep were aiming for because they wanted this to look a bit more sporty, a bit more sophisticated, and yes, you're getting the idea. The Grand Cherokee is more about on-road performance, something more civil, something more urban as compared to something like the Wrangler, which is out and out rugged, right? So the Compass is looking to do more of the urban run, spend time in the city and between cities, and of course do a spot of the rough stuff as well. But we'll get into that. And in terms of design, it's striking that look really quite well. The front looks like the Grand Cherokee. Look at it down the side. It looks very sleek, and you know, it's got certain of those Jeep elements in place. For instance, the squared wheel arches, which hark back apparently to the Willys itself. And that aside, there's the roof. If you have the contrast roof, Jeep say that's because that makes it look like it has no roof, so it has that open top kind of look. Now, in terms of the details, the grille, of course, is that 7-slot grille, and you look at the headlamps, very sleek. They have those LED DRLs running around the edges, and it looks really cool. It has HID projector lamps, but as we found out that might be available only in the top-end variants. We'll talk about those a little bit later, but these are the smaller details which make it look really cool. How it does without them, we'll have to see once the variants are announced a little bit later. Now, overall, in terms of design, it does look quite promising. It looks very sleek, right? So you think it's not all that tall, but actually, in terms of overall height, it's taller than Hyundai's Tucson. And the other big surprise is, look between the wheels. The space is a lot. It's long. It's actually got the largest wheelbase when you compare it against the competition. And in terms of ground clearance, that's a little bit of a surprise. That's 178 millimeters. So that's not wow, especially because you're thinking Jeep, right? But that's quite handy, actually. So overall, in terms of design, I think it looks sleek. It is functional. Now, the cars on display had 17-inch rims, but we know that the lower-end variants will come with 16-inch rims as well. Now, overall, the design looks sleek, but it also looks strong, and that could be down to the shoulder line that's nice and strong and runs along the car. Now, coming to the interiors, we couldn't get a look in. This was a pre-production prototype, they said, so we couldn't take a peek at it, but we do know that this should be quite spacious. We already told you that the wheelbase is long. And that aside, it should feel quite premium as well. We saw a couple of photos which you can spot right here. Those photos show you that the design looks handsome, looks stylish, looks upmarket. And that's great news because Jeep brand does have quite a lot of appeal in the Indian market, and something like this would help build that experience. You'd expect to see leather on the inside. You'd expect to see perforated seats. We know that's coming. Along with that, there'll be a 7-inch touchscreen system, reversing camera, all of that. But of course, the really important bits are the safety bits. You've got 2 airbags as standard, 4 more airbags. So that's 6 airbags in all with the 4x4 variant. And that aside, you have ESC, ABS, EBD, hill start assist, all of this as standard on the Compass. There are going to be a couple of new features as well. Of course, we've seen the electronic park brake on high-end cars. That's there on the Compass as well. Now, talking about variants, we expect there to be 3 variants. The base will be the Sport, then there will be the Latitude, and of course the top end, which will be the Limited. So, what about the engines? Here's the really interesting thing. There are a whole bunch of engines that are coming to the Fiat plant in Ranjangaon, and most of them will not be offered in the Indian market. They're off for exports. But what we will get in India is the 2-liter diesel. This is the 4-cylinder Multijet 2. This is going to be manufactured here in India. It has about 170 horsepower, a little over 170 horsepower with 350 Newton meters of torque. And the transmission options at the start are going to be a 6-speed manual alone. Along with that, you will get 4-wheel drive as well. Jeep's 4x4 system is called Select Terrain. Now, the 4-wheel drive system, this being Jeep, of course, is properly solid. What that means is you can send as much as 100% of the torque to any one wheel when required. That's pretty solid in my books. And along with that, you of course get all the electronic systems, which means you have off-road modes. So you have an auto mode, you have sand mode, you have snow mode, and you have mud mode. The auto mode is what you're going to use pretty much most of the times because this can handle just about everything, and this is ideal for use on tarmac because that's where the system can disconnect drive to the rear wheels and let the power just go to the front wheels, so it is in its most efficient form that way. And of course, that means if you are picking a Compass without four-wheel drive, it is a front-wheel drive car. Now, moving on to the petrol. The petrol is going to be imported into India. This is the multi-air 1.4 liter turbocharged engine. It makes about 160 horsepower and it's going to come combined with a manual and a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. We expect this to also be offered with four-wheel drive, at least on the manuals at some point. We do know that for now, the 4x4 options are only going to be offered along with the manual gearbox options. Now, if you're looking for a proper off-roady Jeep, this isn't quite it. The Compass is clearly meant to be driven on-road and enjoyed mostly over there. You look at the suspension that it's got adaptive suspension and it's meant to handle a lot of cornering and wearing road surfaces for greater comfort. But if you are looking for a Compass that is more off-road oriented, yes, there is one. It's called the Trailhawk. And no, you can't have it, at least not now, because it is made at Ranjangaon at the plant, but it's not on sale in India yet. It's for export. What it has over the Compass is that it's got more ground clearance, about 10 millimeters more, a little over 190 mm. Along with that, it's got a new nose, because the standard nose on the Compass is designed to look like the Grand Cherokee, and that eats into the approach angles, and it's just about 17 or 19 degrees. And when you look at the new nose of the Trailhawk, it's sharp, and that lets it have an approach angle of 30 degrees. Along with that, it's got a special mode on the select terrain which is called rock mode, so that really lets it crawl. And along with that, if you're tackling rocks, you need a little bit of added protection, and which is why it has skid plates for the engine sump and for the petrol tank. So it is that much tougher. But yes, we do hope that if enough people ask for it, Jeep will offer it here in India. So where does the Compass fit in? It's got Hyundai's Tucson, Honda CR-V, and Volkswagen's upcoming Tiguan for company. And well, where does it actually fit in? Well, in terms of length, the CR-V is about 4.5 meters long, whereas the Compass is about 4.4 meters long. When you look at it in terms of width, the Tucson is the widest, but the Compass is just as wide as the CR-V. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching.